This is Living History Footnotes. It's a way for me to take you beyond the main Living History videos, show you some behind the scenes information and stuff that maybe didn't make the final cut of the script. In today's video, I'll go over some extra research that I had to leave out. We'll meet some of the original people from the main video and share some interesting thoughts that they had, and we'll also get a first-hand look at why wildlife exclusion zone maintenance is so important. All that and so much more, so let's get into it. A couple of things I'd like to note just off the top. Our channel has just passed 3,000 views, which might not seem like a lot in the world of the internet, but to me, considering that I started this with nothing but the goodwill of some friends and family and people like yourself, it is incredible. I've even had a couple of people who have supported me on my Ko-fi page, and that has gone a long way, both in terms of motivation for myself, but also helping to offset some of the costs that I took on when making this video series last year. Today's featured comment that I'd like to highlight comes from Leanne Cruz, who said that it would be interesting to see these sorts of wildlife mitigation measures on Highway 60, which runs right through Algonquin Park. I don't have the information on road mortality on that highway, but it might be interesting to see if wildlife mitigation measures might make a big difference on that stretch of road. Something for the smarter people to perhaps look into someday. As with all Living History episodes, I would love it if they resonate with you enough that you want to go out and see them for yourself. I love seeing photos of people at these various places. You can tag me on Instagram at livinghistoryca. With this place though, even more so than the others that you'll see in the series, please be extremely careful. This is of course along a major stretch of the Trans-Canada Highway, and there's a lot of guardrails in the area, so there aren't a lot of places to pull over safely. There's also a lot of no parking signs around the bridge, so if you are going to visit it, please abide by all local traffic laws. The safest thing to do might be just to drive by, get off at the exit and come back the other way so that you can see it twice and don't have to worry about putting yourself or anybody else in danger. The other thing that's worth mentioning is you can't get any closer to the bridge than you really do on the highway. There's lots of fences around, and keep in mind, this is a place for animals to get away from humans, so the last thing we need is humans making the animals uncomfortable to use this safe passage. I'm going to play a couple of clips for you shortly, but first I want to talk about a study that I didn't really get into much in the main video. You'll recall that I had a map that showed that elk had moved farther north since the highway expansion, and this study that I'm talking about is actually where I got that map from. The study said that the bridge wasn't put in a good place for elk to use the bridge, and instead, the reason it may have gotten into the rock cut where it is because it may have been simply cheaper and easier to put it there. And I can see where that comes from, because they wouldn't have had to build pillars for the bridge, and they wouldn't have had to build sloping approach ramps so that animals could get up and over the highway. I put this to Carrie though, and she had a bit of a different opinion. She said that elk weren't one of the main target species that the bridge was originally designed for, which raises more questions for me about why that's the case, but anyhow. The statistics though do show that there has been a major decrease in large wildlife vehicle collisions, so the bridge is still having some sort of effect. So what sort of a difference the elk inclusion would have had? Here's a bonus clip for you now. This is from when Carrie Gunson took me to the turtle tunnel at Shepherd Lake. She's going to show us why maintaining wildlife control structures is so important.
This is the larger exclusion fence that we have along the highway, coming up to the wing walls to guide them to the structure. And then we have attached to it, this is a first generation type of reptile exclusion that the Ministry of Transportation has used. They use something a little bit more robust further southerly. This is a pretty strong geotextile, very difficult to rip. Each year on this, I'd say 3 kilometers, this takes about 8 hours every spring to maintain, just to make sure it's attached. Make sure that it's not sagging. We don't want sagging like this, because if an animal does climb up and get stuck in between here, you could probably make something like this last 10 years by doing that maintenance every year. The importance is the entire functionality of the entire system, because turtles are tenacious. They love to travel overland. They really like light. It's difficult to try and entice them to go in here. So what we do here is we try and make them beg to have the light and to have plants and aquatic environment at the structure.
Now we're going to switch over to Sean Boyle. When I did those original interviews, he was with Memorial University, but he has since moved over to Carleton. He said that he's happy that wildlife protection measures are becoming more common, but he says that he wants them to go beyond the immediate area where humans have had a direct impact. Take a look.
We build fences to keep animals off the road and structures to help them cross the road, but very little is done to mitigate the adjacent habitat. The study that I did looked at the populations within 2 kilometers of the road. And while I found relatively minimal effects of this widening that happened, it doesn't mean that there was no effect on the population. Things like chemical pollution, noise pollution, and light kind of emanating out from the highway has been shown in several cases to have impacts on the adjacent populations. So several species of birds, several species of amphibian that will call, these animals have been shown to actually change the pitch which they call at because they can't be heard over the traffic noise, and potentially having a negative implication for how this population would reproduce. You know, it's those kind of secondary effects that could also have major population level effects, which are the really, really kind of important ones.
Sean told me something else that gave me pause. Yes, it is generally safer to keep wildlife and roads separate, but there can be unintended consequences that come with that. Here he is again.
One thing I really like about that footage is all across both sides of it, there's kind of images that are kind of depictions of various animals that might be using it. And I think it's really easy for a driver to not recognize what those bridges are or what the tunnels are. I think it's interesting as a driver to keep an eye out for those things and to think about what they might be doing. Because as they become more and more common, one consequence is that we'll see less animals on the road, which is safe, obviously, but it also, you know, might be this disconnect between, you know, us and the environment. And so remembering that, you know, we're part of this environment and we need to watch what we do to it, kind of ensure that we're not just trampling on it, is an important thing to keep in mind, I think.
That's some of the extra content from the second episode of Living History on the Burwash Animal Overpass. Please subscribe to my channel and share these videos far and wide if you like them, and let me know what parts of Canada's living history you'd like me to explore next. Next week, for episode 3 of Living History, we'll be going to the North Bay area to look at a very twisted part of Canada's history that is a little bit more relevant today than I'd like to admit. Until then, be well.